Hi, I'm Mia Sines, and my other teacher here with me it's actually her day, is Eva Ray. And we're going to teach the mother wound. I really want to us to go over the depths of this because it can be a painful space. It's what leads us into our relationships with our sisters. And we need to learn to trust and to heal. We've all had crazy woundings, mother woundings. I want to read a little bit about what mother woundings are so you have a fuller, bigger picture of um, the nuances that things that fall under the mother wound. And it's interesting, before I came here into this world of work, I never considered the mother wound being separate from from my wounding. I just figured it was part of it. So just very interesting how we can shift and move. Okay. So who typically experiences the mother wound? Children, usually daughters, but sometimes also sons, are said to experience a mother wound if their mothers provide support by taking care of the physical needs of the children, but didn't give love, care, and security, didn't provide empathy to mirror the children's emotions to help them label and manage those emotions, didn't allow the child to express negative emotions. A lot of boys get that. Was extra critical, expected the child's support with their own physical and emotional needs, wasn't available to the child either because they had to work or because they were busy with their own interest. Do note, however, you can be a working mom, even a working single mom, without instilling the mother wound. Had suffered emotional or physical abuse themselves, didn't process the trauma, and was therefore unable to offer love and nurture. Had the unthreatened mental health conditions. Sorry, untreated. They are threatened too, aren't they? Boy, it's interesting what comes out. Experienced alcoholism or drug addiction. Mothers and sons can both experience similar things. And let's see, the signs and effects of the mother wound. Your mother just wasn't there. So it's the same stuff on an emotional level. You weren't reluctant. You were reluctant to turn to your mother for comfort and support. You doubted you had a mother's approval, or you were always trying to be perfect. You felt nervous, frightened around your mother. Your mother expected you to take care of her physically and emotionally. This brings low self-esteem, lack of emotional awareness, inability to self-soothe. The feeling that warmth and nurturing relationships weren't within reach. You know, it's so interesting. We speak a lot about the mirror work in here, right? And the first thing when I share the mirror work is how, when I said to myself, I love you, and then I said, no, I don't. I started to self soothe. And at that point, I was like, oh my God, that's so weird. What are you doing? So it was a perfect response, but yet it felt out of place, out of alignment. So we have, as women, our sisters that come to us. Many and most of you have said to me, um, I want a better relationship with women. I want to trust. I want to feel a part of a community, a society, love. And so that really is here within the space of healing the mother wound. We don't feel that we're loved because of the mother wound. We're afraid of bringing more of such in. Not everyone experiences mother wound. There are so many people that I work with that have great relationships and friends who has fabulous relationships with their parents. But it does affect some of us. Eva, would you like to weigh in here?
Hmm. Um,
What's on your mind that I'm saying that?
yeah, it does affect some of us, and then maybe if it's not directly coming from our direct mother, the other relationship that we have in our lives, through other people's mother wounds, or then in connection even to the father from whatever wounds came from the relationship with their mother. So it's kind of getting in there on some level, regardless if it's the direct mother experience or not.
Mhm. You know, it's also interesting, as you said, it made me think about the father too. There are father wounds that affect women and affect men.
Mhm.
One of the ways in which, this isn't just to like whitewash it all, but one of the ways in which I worked through mine just and still, right? Things come up that I forget. It's about looking at it, identifying it, and what feels right to you. Remember, we talk about listen to what your soul says. If your soul says it wants something else, then you need to listen to it, right? And we don't have to. Part of the healing of the trauma and the wounds, in my estimation, as a woman who's done this my whole life, where I wasn't even supposed to survive this stuff, and I'm obviously a thriving woman. That was my choice and desire 13 years ago, was to thrive and to support others, is literally about wiping the shit off your shoes and moving on. So once we get through, and then some of you might say, well, you teach this stuff all the time. This stuff is floating around you, Mia, but the energy is different. I may be teaching it, but I've removed the energy of the painful stories or the garbage. So it's just information. It becomes information as opposed to it ruling my life, right? I have enough things ruling my life to worry about. So as we heal, we move it away and we can use it as reference. We can use it as support. We've talked before, and Joanne's a very good person here to remind us that information, traditions, stories, it's all storytelling. It was passed originally from one person to another, to another, to another, generally around the campfire, or making dinners, or, hunting, whatever it is. Everything has an experience attached to it. So, what experience do you want to choose? We have that choice as humans, as mature emotional humans, to make a choice. What do we want, right? Do we want to heal this stuff and have it out of our life, or do we want it to linger? The lingering is an interesting effect. It's kind of sticky and icky, and we do have a choice. What do we want to bring in? What do we want to keep? I feel like every breath I take, every experience I have with a human, every food, everything settles into my body. How do I want that? Do I want the ligaments and the sinews between the muscles to be all crappy with information or energy, or do I want to be clean and clear? These are all our own personal choices that we make. We don't have to abide by one way or another. We don't have to stay in the muck and the mire and the crap and the shit in the old story ways. We can move and shift. The desire of wanting to is the first step. Most people say, when is it ever going to take effect? Well, you've already spoken to the universe probably about 100 million times about what you want. When are you going to allow it to be released? When are you going to be in that space to understand you are in full control of everything that's within you? All this beautiful work that you do, all the love you produce in your heart and project out to the world is, in essence, the way through our trauma. When we love more and we learn about love and practice love, remember, practice makes proficiency. When we do this for ourselves, we're doing it for the world. We're not just doing it for ourselves. We are changing, which is changing our environment, which is changing the environment of the people in our homes, which is changing the environment of the neighborhood, which is changing the environment of everything. It moves out. That ripple effect is real. It's not just for skipping stones across water. It literally does work this way. So let's talk about some mother wounds. If there is a deep one that you want processed, we'll process it now. First come, first serve. Yesterday was a great hot seat day. Okay, Joanne.
One of the mother wound stuff that I'm looking at is I'm looking at both mother wound and father wound. I come from a lot of dysfunction, and it's layered dysfunction. So the one where I made some notes where so say in an intimate relationship, just for a reference point, and it doesn't have to be in an intimate relationship, but just for a reference point. So instead of me, say if I had a partner, instead of me going into the mother role so that I could protect myself and hide my shame, hide my deep wounds, and not be authentic and not be open, then I'd get into a mothering role with my lover. I'd be saying, oh, do this and do that. Are you finished doing that yet? Did you clean the bedroom? Did you wash the bathroom? Did you put the tools away like you said you were going to put them away? Is it all done? And, me in this role of telling them what to do or giving the orders or acting like a mother to my lover. So instead, I have to learn how to be more get out of that role. And I know that when you're in a relationship, we all have chores we have to do. Of course, we're going to do all that, but to know intuitively and mindfully, intellectually, okay, Joanne, get out of that role. Now get into the gorgeous Joanne, get into the lover role instead of staying in that mother role. So I'm learning why I go into that role and how to come out of it, and then mindfully be in the other role of the lover, the kind person, the funny person, the person that my lover wants to gravitate to, that I'm magnetizing, a playful role, and then when I need to self-soothe or take care of myself because maybe I got triggered or I found myself in that role, I'm like, oh my God, I got into the freaking mothering role and I didn't want to. And then I to get myself out of it, to do the self-soothing like you were talking about, and to say, okay, Joanne, you're safe. You don't need to go into that role. We're okay. Everything's fine. Talk to my little inner girl. And then once I realize, okay, I'm back integrated. I'm in my sexy role again, or whatever role that I'm going into, not the mother role, but into a more healthy role. Then I know that I've gone in there. Then I tell myself, okay, we don't have to keep self-soothing. Get back in, dance, whatever we're doing, you're back in. We're safe. We're at a dinner party. And I went out and I came back in, whatever I had to do. Now I'm here. We're back here. Cool. Everything's cool. Right on. So that's kind of what I'm practicing and learning, and from all my wounding.
I love you so fucking much. I'm sorry.
I love you too, baby.
I love you so much.
I knew you would love it. Woohoo!
And also what I wanted to say is it's exhausting because there's a lot there, babe. You are so smooth, so beautiful. I almost said perfect, but I didn't want to freak you out. So beautiful. So everything. You're so worried about this. So let's get in the place of love. What would love do? Every time. You're right about the mothering. You're right about that. We do that. It's not just you, sweetheart. It is the male too who puts us in the mother role because of not enough sex, insecurity, da 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 da. What would love do? What would love do? What would love do? You were so adorable because you're going through the process and then you're like, and I'm in the sexy or whatever role. And I'm thinking, if you didn't have to think about it and you could just feel and be in it, like every moment, what I would love for you to do, and I think it's going to break it and clear it, I would love for you the next 24 hours, anything comes up like that, and I want you to think about relationship so that you're triggered. Yeah. Anytime it comes up, what would love do? Release and float. Release and float. Because we're not here to control another human's life. You know that, right? And that's what we do as women because we have all of that, right? The responsibilities of children, of grandparents, of moms, of, aunties, all of it. We're responsible for a lot of people until we're not. And so allow yourself the pleasures of who you are, right? Yes, your mother, the training, the this, the that is there.
Yeah.
And we all have dysfunction. We've all had dysfunction, right?
Yeah.
Life is dysfunctional most of the time. As we read or heard in there, that it's very rare that a mother will emotionally be there for her children. And they do happen for working moms. I love that that was in there. Working moms can be emotionally available.
Yeah.
It's about cutting the erroneous beliefs that we've experienced throughout our life, looking at them. Does this serve me? No, get the fuck out of here. Excuse me, everybody, but seriously,
Yeah.
it's about looking at each one. I've been looking at things in my life over the last couple days, and I realized what I thought I could tolerate, I can't. And why can I not tolerate it? Because it goes against my soul. It goes against the dignity of me as a woman and who I am, where I've grown to, and where I stand. So you are a magnificent woman, right? Know it, feel it. Where do you stand? You stand in love. Your next relationship is all about love. You've already declared that to the universe. I wouldn't even worry. Know that if you were, so when I was in high school, my boyfriend and I used to hit each other. We used to get in fist fights. When I left that relationship of 3.5 years, um, I swore I would never hit another adult human. And I didn't hit my first husband. I might have popped my second husband once, I think, for some reason. I think I was being playful. But no, I don't hit people. I did when I was younger. I made that choice. We make a choice. You've made the choice. You want to be all love. You don't want to be a mother. You want to be the lover. You want the sexiness. And you deserve that. You've raised Sakaya. You're here to enjoy your life. And use those words too. I'm here for the pleasure. I'm here to enjoy. I'm here to be me. So that you're programming that. And what you shared before was the truth of how you were feeling in the process of getting through. And I would like you to release 2,000 pounds of that. Just get it the heck off because it's too heavy for you to bear. Right? You are magnificent right now. Your commitment to you was already made. Your commitment to love was already made. And in a relationship, when we're with our mate, the most glorious thing is to just chill the hell out, literally. You know why? We get to see what they're truly about without us controlling the situation. We get to witness them in their glory. Your
And
warrior, your warrior doesn't want to be
yeah,
witnessed in anything other than his glory.
yeah. The other part to it is I now realize why I was attracting unavailable men and men who were at a lower caliber. It's because of the mother wound, because I was more in the mother wound in the past. The low caliber guys were coming because they wanted a mother, and I was the mother. And now that I'm not the mother, I'm not going to be attracting those guys anymore. I'm going to be attracting the more high caliber people, men,
Yes.
and who are more stable. They have a plan in their life. They have employment. They're they're ready too. And so that's the other thing I discovered with working on the mother wound. So because I was attracting those kinds of men, I'm like, what the hell? I have all this training, I'm all this education, and I've done all this work on myself, and I'm still attracting those kinds of guys. What the heck? And then now I understand more of where it was coming from. So wow, I'm
Yeah.
so excited.
It's powerful when we choose ourselves and we step into that space. It's
Yeah.
very powerful. Eva, you've been we've been working together off and on for a long time, as coaching type stuff together. So what would you say to when she gets on her stuff? It's so eloquent. It's like it's poetry. So that's why I'm like putting it back on her. What would you say to Joanne?
One thing that just it keeps coming up surrounding this is being in the space of vulnerability, and how at times that could be a bit scary, you know, open up into sexiness and that like goddess vibration flowing through you and into your relationship, how deeply vulnerable we at times have to be. And how that can really be scary, especially based on maybe, our family family dysfunction and how we were shown that that was not safe to be in our space of vulnerability, and how your conscious awareness will allow room for you to be in that space and consciously choose that and know that you're safe and that it's going to be okay.
Love that. Yeah,
Mhm.
very
Yeah.
cool.
That's for sure. Yeah.
This space of trust for some is so new, right? To trust ourselves, to trust our emotions. Oh no, if I pull away because it's what my spirit is telling me to do to respect myself, I may never see him again. I may never see anyone again, right? This is also another reason why the sisterhood is so important. You need to have your sisters to reach out at a moment's notice, just like you would like them to reach out to you. Hey, I need love. I need support. Can I throw something by you? My head hurts with this information or whatever it is.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
so important. And that's why trust is so important. We have to learn it for ourselves and open up to the fact that we can trust another. We can trust another woman. We can trust another man. We can trust, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with the vulnerability part for sure. We have to learn how to share and get through our emotions and get past them and have somebody to share them with. For sure. We have to voice it.
And remember, as we evolve, I've discovered that we play in different, I call them swimming pools. We play in different pools. And are we going to play with, often, sometimes I play in the kiddie pool, or I used to. I called that about one guy I was seeing years ago. I'm in the damn kiddie pool. I need to get into the big girl pool again. So where do we want to play? Who do we want to be with, right? Not everybody is as evolved like our partners. They may not be as evolved as we are. So be discriminating. That's something that I've seen that I need to put on my manifesting, right? My evolution of even in my relationships I have now is open and evolved enough to process and grow with you, or to grow, period, or to be at a certain level. We don't do this work to go into another kiddie pool, right? Backwards to find our mate. We do it to find our mate as we're growing, as they're growing too. So we have to be aware of which pool we're playing in. And a lot of times our old habits, our old ways, our old programming pulls us back into the kiddie pool,
Mhm.
which is interesting, It's the old way of being. And everything is a choice and experience in transformation. What do you choose, vanilla or chocolate? It's as simple as that. We put way too much, we wound ourselves with the way we, um, like a, I was going to say like a tick. So like a tick or a spur, when it gets inside, it just wants to whittle its way in and you're like, get out, get out. So we have to be careful of what we do allow in and what we don't allow in, right? Because those little spurs can go deep and we don't want them to. So we need to stop. We have this thing that we are not aware of certain things because of a lot of wounding, the mother wound,
Mhm.
sometimes the father wound, all of it. We're not aware that we're letting things in. Once we're aware of it, hey, I don't want this stuff, again, we grow, right? It's like that Mario Brothers game I keep saying I used to play with my kids. You do one level, get all the ching, 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 and all the diamonds and all the goodies, and then you go up the ladder to another level, and then there's that step there to go through. So we're always moving through the space that allows us to grow, to get the most. Where are my rewards? I tell you guys, let's stop and pause and look at where our healings, our growth has taken us. What rewards do we have? I feel from healing cancer, one was healing cancer, and the other was Joanne and I creating the Universal Love Project together. That was a reward for me, a beautiful experience. So look for your rewards. Be creators, look for your rewards, grab them, harness them, bring them in. We don't need to stay in the wounding at all. Now, sister wounds can reflect the same as mother wounds because we are girls, right? We learn from the best. And so if we don't change our wounding style, how we wound others, or are aware of it, we're going to repeat cycles. I don't know if any of you have gotten to the place yet in your life, but in the last couple years, I'm like, dang, I'm like my mother in certain areas, you know, the one that I was like, repelled against, loved, but also repelled. I'm very much like my mom. And today I can actually say, yeah, I'm like my mom. And I'm actually kind of proud of it, you know. Unfortunately, she had mental illness, but she was an amazing human being because she's my mom and more. But literally, we can change that energy. They don't haunt us from the grave. They want to love us from the other side, literally. We tap in. They've shifted, they've changed, they've gone back to their soul state, you know, and probably to be recycled again. Don't know how long, but, you know, there's that processing that people come back to do what they're supposed to do. I know my mom will be here again. You know, her last lifetime was, it might have been exactly what her soul journey was. It might have, but I can't imagine that there's things in there that she doesn't have to correct, right? We've talked about karma in here, and I'm like, karma's not a bitch. She's love. And so literally we have to shift and change. Any awarenesses that come through for you guys, whether it's little or big, look at it and say, does this belong in my life with the woman I am now? Does this belong here? I ask myself that all the time. Does this serve me? Does this belong here? I don't actually go through that process so much anymore. If I feel it's out of alignment, I just push it out of the way. It's like, I don't want that anymore. But I'm aware of what I'm removing. So it's the same with the depth of the wounding, right? If it allows you to process your wounds and to get to the other side, spend time similar to the dream, believe, create process and work through the areas. First, write down the wounds that you remember that you experienced with your mom. This isn't to rip you open and start you all over. It's for your own awareness without getting into the depths of the despair, to know that when you take it into something like the dream, believe, create process, where you take yourself down and get still and quiet and do your breath work so you're in tuned to yourself, think about the areas in which you know need to change and why. When I think I was 16, 15, 16, something like that, before my 17th birthday, my mom and I were at the grocery store. I've mentioned this before, and this is considered sexual assault. My mom and I were at the grocery store, and I said, Mama, something, Mama, asking her a question, and she slapped me in the face because there were men around in the produce section. Don't you ever call me Mama again in front of men. I never called her Mama until she was dying. She couldn't hear me. She was in a coma. So the point is that we need to look at stuff. That's something that I've looked at, and now I've moved that pain away, or it's still there a little bit, you can tell. But for the most part, it won't ever take me out. I'll never be crying and bawling my head off over it. It was an experience that I learned a lot from. A lot led me into the work that I do today. Thank you, Mama, very much. Literally, that experience brought me into supporting women. I didn't even realize that until I'm talking right now. For the mother wound, that was the biggest. I got beat as a child. I got this, I got loved. But when you're in public and somebody slaps you across the face like that out of the blue, you don't even know what the hell you did wrong except for love somebody, right? And so that wound was so bad, I never wanted anybody else to experience that humiliation. It's interesting. So we just need to examine all of our areas that affect us, like in the dream, believe, create, go through it, process it, or you could take it into the inner child process. That is what it's for. But if you don't want to go that deep, do the quick dream, believe, create, run through them, examine them, look at them, and shift them. I don't want that in my experience. And I don't want to reflect that. I don't want to be like that, right? You're looking at your mirror right now. You're looking at the mirror of who you are and what you want. And you get to choose in this moment. Do I want that in my experience? No. Okay, it's gone. And know that as we shift and remove things or declare things to the universe, they come into fruition because it's already done. How powerful do you want to be? You want to be very powerful? You get it on the first try. When my spiritual teacher therapist 10 years ago said, you just declared it to the universe. It's in action. Take it, go. That's when I learned it's about everything. Otherwise, we stumble backwards. When am I going to be out of this? When am I going to be out of this? When am I going to be out of this? When am I going to, ladies, I spent 45 years. When am I fucking going to be out of this? And I started 21 years before that self-love work. And I still was on the edge of when am I? And then I got it. And then I left it behind. And the transformation, because you've been doing so much work for so many years, can literally be instantaneous. Your awareness, your thought processes can shift and change. You've done the work. You know who you are. You understand all this. So bring it into your heart and allow it to be. Not enough people talk about this aspect of healing, of declaring you're free right now and moving on and stepping out, even if you have to systematically see yourself inside a circle of anything, right? Of that containment of someone holding you back and stepping out. You guys want to do a process right now? It feels like it's coming through. Okay. Whew. Let's breathe in love. Deep, deep, deep. And big exhale. Let's breathe in nurturing, because as women, we want nurturing right now in this experience. Breathe it in. I want you to see your team of angels encircling you like a big 20, 15, 20 angels around you. They have you. You're protected. Breathe that in. Let's breathe in the Divine Mother, love. And yes, we're going to breathe in our mothers. We're strong enough to do this, to hold the space of love. We've learned how to hold the space of love for people. Let's hold it for ourselves and our mothers. All right, I want you to have your angels encircling you. You're on some beautiful, wherever you want to be, there's green grass around you. You can be in Arizona with all the beautiful mountain majesties there and the cliffs and all. And I want you on a patch of grass, wherever you want to be, in the ocean, wherever. You're on your patch of grass. Okay. Now the angels have disappeared. Each one has been replaced with a rock. So you're inside a very low bearing wall of rocks. And in here, I just want you to start to feel love around your body. Feel the energy amplify around you as it's kind of moving upward from the ground, up around your calves, to your knees, to your thighs. It's encircling you, up your buttocks, your tummy, lower back, your solar plex, your heart, your chest, your neck, your head, and up. And this beautiful space of love has you, is holding you. You're the safest you'll ever be in this moment. I want you to think very fast, like the what do you want, what do you want, what do you want? Don't stop to think about it. Push in the center of this circle all the things you don't want to keep. All the experiences, you can grab them by handfuls and throw them. Years if you want to, the negative stuff, just grab them. We are fast workers. This doesn't take time. It's instantaneous. Grab them, push in there. All right. I want you to then sprinkle, because they appeared with you, a big massive of like 100 roses. I want you to sprinkle it on top of the lies. You're putting the beauty there. Just sprinkle them all over. All the storylines, all the frustration, all the pain. So now we see these roses covering. And I want you to know that the moment you step outside of the circle, you're leaving this behind. You're free. And as you step outside of the circle, all of those stories with those beautiful roses are going to explode and blow up. The entire storyline is going to disappear. I want you to feel your strength from your feet, your grounding, feel the grass. Rub your feet in the grass. You're a beautiful woman, a beautiful mystic. Allow it. Remember, we felt it going up our body. Bring it back up. When you have the strength within you, I want you to step to your left or your right outside of that circle of rocks. And I want you to watch from the side. You don't have to turn and face it because you're leaving it behind. I want you to wait a moment while that all blows up and burns. Now turn and walk away. And you can experience this on, I'm calling you back on 3 in your dream state every night as you heal this. 2, understand healing is instantaneous. It's a simple synapse of understanding that flashes down through our body. And on 1, come back to me and open your eyes. I love to watch your smile, Gwen. It's so sweet. All right, so in this process, we experienced laying down our stories. We experienced the actual physical within ourselves, stepping outside and blowing those mofos up, seriously. So within you, who believes that their storyline is now changed? Good.
Share.
Yeah. Who would like to share? Go ahead, Claudia.
Well, I'll share because there was that moment of doubt that said, oh, this isn't going to work. You've been here before. You've done this before. It doesn't work. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's going to work now, you know? And not only did I see it blow up, but I threw the fireball at it. And it's like, I drew up this like fire from the earth, this like big ball, and I was like, ah, like one of those, you know, television shows where they throw fire, you know? And it just was like blew up, and I was somewhere like a tropical, like a Hawaiian type of place, and I had like flowers in my hair, and I just threw like a whole bunch of rose petals throughout the whole circle was in completely covered like a mound of
Beautiful.
rose petals. And when I walked away, I kept walking and I saw a beautiful waterfall. So I just felt so refreshed and renewed, like it's like a baptism, you know, like it's all it's done, it's over. Now it's just beauty and love ahead.
Yeah, that's beautiful. When I was a young girl and learning about healing, we had to learn about instantaneous healing. We had to learn how to claim it and accept it, or else things did come back. Here's a really basic, but obviously something very important for a mother to understand. When, when my youngest, Morgan, was little, he had major ear infections, major stuff. Oftentimes he would drink his bottle lower than the inclined position. You know, in bed, I'd try to prop him up and give him a bottle. Yes, when you have more than one, it can be hard to, you know. So what I noticed was that he was getting ear infections, and this went on until he was like 18 months old. And to have a mother hear her baby screaming and knowing that why the fevers are there and that you can't stop, it's very scary. It was right before they were going to put tubes in his ears so that it would constantly drain and he wouldn't have the pressure. And I did a treatment, and I knew in that moment my son was healed. I knew it. I just knew he had had his healing. And he began crying a couple hours later. And I thought it was because of his ears. And I gave him medicine and he threw it up. We went to the doctor the next day and he looked in his ears and he said, Mia, his ears are perfect. They're fine. They're not infected. It's good he threw up that medicine. It would have made him sick. And so we have to understand our declarations. I've mentioned before where I had a UTI, chronic bladder infection for years, or for a year, and that was out of fear. And I would go when I was nursing, and I would run to one of the halls that didn't have, we call them patients on them, and I would go pee, and I would be screaming from the pain. From the pain, I would just be screaming. And I would be begging God, not begging God, like, please, I'll be good, but just like, help me. I can't work. I can't go on like this. And I did have a healing. And I gave a testimony on Wednesday evening service because I was still in my metaphysical religion at the time. And when we declare stuff, we declare it to the universe, and we also have fear. In that moment, I was giving this beautiful testimony of how I had worked through this and used my awareness to hold true that these bladder infections were gone. And I told how, the next day it disappeared. My fear brought it back. I had to run off the floor again to one of the side wings to go to the bathroom in order to scream. And in that, because I didn't use medicine per se, because I healed through prayer. And so in that moment was the last time that I experienced a bladder infection until fairly recently, till this year. So we're talking about maybe 25, 30 years. And in that moment, it was so clear that if I truly did believe and could heal like I have before, because of my direct alignment, I am an infinite spiritual being, just like you all are. I saw it so clear again that I was not trusting. And then that's when that permanent healing happened. But fear brings things back. So when we stand in the place of knowing, right, in our affirmations, our firmness, our commitment, things don't happen because we are that powerful. But when we release and we're fear and we allow our old programming to come forward, that's when we can stumble and fall, right? That's when we can stumble and fall. And so this experience right now is just the same for you, meaning any healing is absolutely healed within that moment of awareness and recognition. You have to claim it and keep it. It's a mindset. That's why I teach mindset. That's why I teach this stuff, because I'm teaching everyone in the way in which I can, in whichever program I'm teaching you to understand your own greatness. That's the power of what understanding who you are is. And there's nothing more powerful than being able to switch your awareness in a moment's notice and be in another state of being and not go back. And when it's regarding our health or our mental issues, we know that that's the most upsetting physically and emotionally. So be on top of your stuff. Know that you are just as valuable as any other thing on this planet. And when I say thing, it's because people don't identify themselves as amazing spiritual beings in this glorious body. So what are you? You're a thing. You're a human. You're not complete because you are a soul in a human body. That's your completion. That's your Trinity, the body, mind, and spirit connection. That's who you are. But we leave out so much of who we are. And thus, even the mother and father wounds are left untouched because we're afraid to seek the removal of them. We're afraid of the pain that comes with it. And as we know that when we look and move through things, it's easier and easier and easier. And we understand it. And that emotional trauma isn't as bad. I'm a lover. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm committed to the things that I love, absolutely committed. And when it's time to have somebody leave my life because it doesn't support the greatness of who I am, and believe me, I don't take these things lightly. It takes a while for me, especially being a lover. But when I see it and I move on, I have to move on. Why? Because I teach this stuff. So I preach what I teach. And if one of my girlfriends a couple months ago said, are you really expressing self-love to the degree that you teach if you allow this kind of chaos in your life? And it was over a relationship thing. And I was like, oh shit, I gotta look at this because I believe in doing everything that I say. You know, if I say it, I do it. So I had to look at it and realized how out of alignment that relationship was that it had grown into. And so I shifted and worked it. Doesn't mean I let the person go from loving them. Seriously, that doesn't mean what it means. It just means that we had to shift things around. Love is love. If somebody is not deliberately hurting you and you still need to get them out of your life, you still love them. Love only transforms, it does not go away. How can we unlove something that we loved? We do because we say that son of a bitch, he did this or that to me, or that blah, 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 blah. That's how we unlove. We make ourselves see something, we force ourselves to see it in a way that we hurt less. When really in reality, what would love do? How would love expand? That means that it includes that person that we love, but the energy shifts into a different space. We don't have to yell and scream at the ones that we're leaving. We don't. We can move it energetically. So, Eva, did you want to add anything else to the mother-father wound, to any of this, to, I want to watch you dance again.
Dancing a lot more together soon.
Yeah, you and I have to stay on the call afterwards so we can figure this out for everybody. Okay, any last questions, everyone? Tomorrow you will have a new teacher. I think it's Barry Selby. I think that he follows Eva and I on this day, the day after she and I teach. So I think it's Barry tomorrow. You can go through, you're welcome, man. You can go through the list of shows, you know, classes from last month and kind of follow the same trend. I should put the teachers up there, but I haven't. They will be up on the website soon, and the calendar will be up on the website as well. And at some point, Joanne, we're going to get you in as a teacher, okay?
Hi, I know it's towards the end of the class today, but I have a very deep mother wound. I actually took a course on the mother wound, and it didn't completely help me. But I feel that what you're doing, the work you're doing, is helping me a lot at an energetic level. It's incredibly helpful, but I still got a lot of more work to do on it because I have a mother wound, a father wound, and a sister wound. And I came from a very dysfunctional, toxic family.
Yeah.
And I'm a super sensitive light being, and I was horribly abused by all of them. And so I've had to learn to nurture myself. And I do things, you know, certain rituals to make myself feel loved and feel nurtured. But I had the problem because of that deep mother wound of being a people pleaser. And that's something I'm recovering from. It's really hard because I have a tendency to completely be selfless, forget about myself, and put other people first. And so it's been a struggle even to speak up and have a voice because I felt invisible and I felt like I had no voice. And I would work hard and try to be perfect. And I found, you know, myself feeling stuck and hearing my mother's critical voice. I still can hear her critical voice. I'll be honest about it. And it's something I can't really openly talk about. I've never been able to talk about it to my sister or my nephew or anyone else in my family because they don't believe me. So it's really hard.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. We will be talking more about this. Eva and I are going to be coming in April with a lot of the mother. If you haven't noticed, I do like a couple months of one theme, and then I move into another, and they're all interrelated. They're all healing, but it's different aspects. So we will be coming in April. Once I start the soulmate class, then we're going to be coming for these week-long classes with the mother wound and stuff. And it is very important. And there's also going to be a healing, a section of how to heal. I actually took a course when I was 18. I was scheduled to take it at 16 and I bumped it. Oh, I took it when I was 17. I was scheduled to take it like a year or two before and I didn't. It was a metaphysical training for prayer and meditation. And so I'm going to start to teach that as well as we get into summer, because I want people to be elevated in their awareness of their healing. It's metaphysics is just a relationship between God and man, and that's you and creator. So isn't that amazing? So yeah, so we'll be talking more about this, honey. What it would help me is if you wrote down some of the topics of your mother wound, and maybe we'll address many of them in the upcoming class that we're going to have on it.
There's so many layers of it. I couldn't just heal it from one.
I get that. I get that. But what I'm saying is, anyone who has mother wounds, just send me subject line mother wound.
Okay.
I get that. In fact, all of you, send me a couple of mother wounds so that I can address it to you specifically, which I will. I will do an audio recording for you, whoever sends me their questions. I'll email the Zoom audio back to you so you have me helping you through that, whether it's a process, whatever I do. I will coach you guys through that on the mother, I will on the mother stuff. So send it to us and we can start now. Also, some of this stuff will be covered and healed in the soulmate, because whatever we need, and I know you're in there, Anne, and
yes.
So we'll also work on that, because as you see, everything like intertwines and holds hands and goes further. We're doing this journey of whatever humanity needs, and so I'm glad you brought that up, Anne, because yes, it's very interwoven, all of the wounding, and needs to be seen and healed and removed. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, everybody, anything else? Okay.
You already feel like you healed something, and should you still list it or even go back there to get help with it again?
Okay, so it's a little hard to hear you, babe. So you said you feel like you've healed some stuff, right? And yet it slips back up?
Yeah, like, is it bad to bring it back up?
Oh, so if you feel something is healed, right, is it bad to bring it back up? In what sense? Are you feeling a little bit of touchiness to it? Is that why you want to bring it back up?
No, just to provide you with a list.
You could do it as was worked through. You can do that, so that you're not reclaiming it for yourself. Was worked through. And then for those of you who have stuff that you want to work through, working through, so that we know the areas of which you've already worked and which you're working through. I work with a lot of women per month. And so sometimes people write me and say, you told me that you'd send me this, like yesterday, somebody said, you said you'd send me this program. So that's why, which I did once she wrote me, but that's why I do need you guys to write me with the subject lines of specifics as soon as you think of it. Because if somebody asks me something a week or two later, because I work with a lot of people, yes, you're all in my heart. And of course, I know you guys here because you guys are here all the time. The other person wasn't here all the time. But that's why it's really important in the subject line. So I'm happy to, I would love it, Amber, if you would give what was and what you're working on. That way, when you're identifying that you've healed it, but yet there's a thread of humanity, we all have similar things. So it'd give me an idea of somebody else too. So what you've worked on, other people are working on, right? What I've worked on, other people are working on. What they're working on, I might be working on. So it's interesting that we all have the colors of red, but they're different shades of red, right? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Anything else, everybody? No? Okay. All righty. So I will see you all when I see ya. No, I'll see you guys soon. I don't know when that'll be, but much love to you.
Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you, Eva, for saying that.